Okay. So welcome once again. What we are going to do now is just to go through the FM syllabus. Okay. What are we looking at? Or what are we expecting to learn? And then once we go through the syllabus in general, I have attached to it, hey, this thing is long. I have in addition to it what we call the exam format, right? I beg you, for any paper you are going to write, any ICA paper you are going to write, okay, you as a student should be aware of how the examiner is intending to structure the questions. You know, currently you have 5 questions to attempt. So you need to create a valid expectation of in your mind of what to expect while going to the exam. So in question 1, what am I expecting to see when I go there? Okay, so the examiner has brought, or the ICAG has brought this document, which I have included in the course outline. So please, this document also is in the folder. When you check course outline, you are going to see it there. You just need to be aware of all of these areas and where they fall within what the 5 questions you are going to see in the exam room. That is basically it. Okay, so we are just going to walk through all of them. Your exam is 100 marks. And so, which part of the syllabus content, as we are going to look at it, and how many marks will be allocated towards that area of the syllabus content. Now, let's start from the first one, right, which talks about the environment for financial management. And I am believing that we are going to touch on this within the first week. Okay. And so this is for 5 marks. Now, within it, what are the things that you need to be aware of? So, role and importance of financial management for both the private and public sectors. So, when you see the public sector side now, you understand that, okay, now this paper is not just for what? For the commercial companies or the private companies, but now what? Public sector or information is included. So you understand what is going on. Okay? We'll look at financial management decisions, financial and non-financial objectives of profit-making and what? Not for profit-making organizations. We'll look at the economic environment, very important. Last night, there was a question from that area. Okay? So what I'll be doing is, once we start going through the lectures, I've opened the past question for just last night. Okay. Hopefully, I'll also look at subsequent nights. So that I just give you a connection on what we are doing and how that particular area has been tested in some sittings ago or even just last night. Okay, so that you understand that whatever we are learning is relevant to what you are going to see whilst writing the examination. Okay. So the economic environment, and then we also have the regulatory environment. Okay. And again, this one for a very long time, the regulatory environment, there has been nothing on it. Okay. All right. So we also look at it. We look at stakeholders and the objectives, the agency problem, corporate governance and social responsibility. And then this is where the ethical area that I was talking about will come in. Okay. Ethical issues. Now the examiner is saying that he will test you on any of these areas for just 5 marks. And they contain a lot. Okay, 5 marks. All right, no problem. Then we'll come to one of the very important areas. And this area fits into one of the roles of the financial manager. When we're looking at the course intro, we spoke about financing. Okay, and so as a business, where are the areas we can source finance from? Okay, and then what are the financing decisions we can make as a result of that? So this we intend to look at within the 2nd and 3rd weeks, and this is having a 15-mark allocation in your exam. 15 marks. Okay, so it also shows you that this is also a very important area that we need to look out for. So what are the sources of funds available to the business, the short term, long term, right? And then also look at basically what we call Islamic finance, okay, and some of its related issues. We also try to look at the financial markets and what financial institutions, basically where the business can source funds from, okay, and some other issues that relate to what the financial market. Then we proceed to look at what the cost of finance. Yes, we have seen the places where we can work or where we can source funds or the type of funds that we can use in our operation. But the money we are using is not free. So you need to be able to calculate the cost of what? Of finance. I hope that is clear. And at the end of the day, since the company is one and they may source funds from multiple sources, we are saying what is the weighted average cost of what? The funds that they've raised. Okay, so you need to be able to calculate what we call WACC. Last night, I think you were asked a question on that. We look at capital structure decisions, okay, and some other issues with respect to the theories of gearing by M&M. Look at capital asset pricing model, CAPM, okay, and then also dividend policy decisions. Okay. Even with this, we are not done. Now we'll come to the what? The public sector side. So here is saying that okay, what we have looked above is for funding or financing sources for the private company. Now, when it comes to the public sector, what are the sources of finance and financing activities in the public sector? I hope you see this. So this area also is going to be going to be looked at, and it contains a lot. But at the end of the day, we need to know the public financing initiatives that public sector organizations can be able to use. So the typical PPP arrangements, okay, the various types, and then there are benefits. I hope that is clear. All right, so that is also about that. All of these, the examiner is saying, are going for 15 marks. Okay. Then we come to another important area of your syllabus. Investment appraisal techniques. That is the main header, and it says 20 marks. However, when you look within the subheadings of this main syllabus block, right, you're going to see time value of money. In the last or the previous diet, time value of money stood on its own, right? Where I think there was a 15-mark allocation to time value of money. I think 15 or 10 marks. But in the current syllabus, that has been subsumed under investment appraisal techniques. Mainly because the concept of discounting, which is under time value of money, is used when we are appraising projects. I hope that is clear. And so time value of money has not been taken out of the syllabus. It is just that it has now been subsumed under under investment appraisal techniques. And so this area is 20 marks. So there's a time value of money component, and then we have the investment appraisal technique component in there. I hope that is clear. So there are a number of things you are going to look at. Understanding the type of cash flows, how to compound them, how to discount them, calculating the effective interest rate, understanding what the nominal interest rate is, right, and so on and so forth. Okay, being able, very importantly, okay, being able to construct a sinking fund and then a loan amortization schedule, right, and that we are going to use Excel, okay, and learn how. So this is also the practical side of it, okay, how you can use Excel to carry out some of these financial tasks, okay, that the financial manager should be aware of, right? So we are going to do all of that, okay. Also within that, we'll be talking about some issues with respect to the public sector, okay, evaluation of public-private partnerships, investments and financing plans, funding options and financial structure, and so on and so forth. Okay, all right. that basically feeds into the investment appraisal side of things. Okay. We are basically going to look at the appraisal techniques, the core ones: payback, discounted payback, MPV, ARR, IRR. Okay, we're just going to look at all of them. Then some variations, okay, of questions that you may get. So when you are going to undertake an investment, right, how does issues like inflation and taxation, how does it affect it? We are going to look at the treatment of inflation, taxation, okay, working capital treatment, capital rationing, an area or a variation of MPV that was tested in November, right? We are still going to look at it. Lease versus buy decisions. For some time now, it hasn't been tested. We are going to look at it. Asset replacement decisions. We still haven't seen anything in some time now on this. We are still going to look at them. Okay. And then an area that was tested last night. Okay. You were being asked what the importance of sensitivity analysis are. So this is the theory area, but there are also computational areas when it comes to what? The application of expected values and sensitivity analysis. So we're just going to go through all of these again. I hope that is clear. All right. So everything I've mentioned or said is for 20 marks. It also tells you that this area is very, very, very important. Okay, very important. So investment appraisal techniques, 20. Sources of finance and financing decisions, 15 marks. Just these two, 35. Okay. And also these plenty things that you are seeing here is just for 5 marks. Okay. All right. Then an area that students don't like at all, but if you understand the very basic concepts, okay, it is again one of the areas where you can also get your marks in there or maximize your marks, right? So it is broken down into two folds: understanding the treasury function, okay, of the company. Who heads it? It's basically the financial manager, okay, yourself. What do you do when it comes to the treasury role or the job of the treasury function within what the company? Sometimes much more bigger companies will have a separate treasury function from other finance departments. For some other companies, the treasury function is also subsumed under what the finance department. I hope that is clear. So what role do they play when it comes to financial management? Then we zoom straight into what? The risk management techniques. We will get to learn that the treasury department, which forms part of the financial or the finance department, is responsible for what? Managing the financial risks of the company. Okay, especially those that has to do with what? Foreign exchange and what? Interest rates. Okay, so all that we are going to look at when it comes to the risk management side is what are the available hedging techniques that we can apply to help the company hedge against any potential foreign risk, foreign exchange risks, or what? Interest rate risks. Okay, so we look at the internal hedging techniques and the external hedging techniques. I hope that is clear. So invoicing in local currency, leading and lagging, matching and netting. We are going to use practical examples to try to understand them. And for the external ones, we are going to look at the forward, we are going to look at money markets, okay, and so on and so forth. Then we also have what we call derivatives. Okay, so derivatives are they could be what we call options, they could be swaps, they could be futures. Last night, I think you were asked to use what do we call it? It was a forward contract, right? A forward contract. However, it was a forward contract which was used to hedge against interest rates. So we call that a forward rate agreement. We're going to go through all of that, okay, and how they are applied in helping the organization minimize some of these financial risks that what are being posed to them as a result of what changing or fluctuating exchange rates or changing or fluctuating what interest rates. Okay, so we'll basically run through all of these again, and a total of 15 marks has been what allocated to this particular area. Also showing you that this area is one of the very crucial and important areas. Don't say you don't like the area, so you're not going to learn it. I want to throw a challenge to all of you that those areas of the syllabus where maybe you feel, oh, they are difficult, because even in your earlier studies, maybe university or elsewhere, right? You felt that, oh, this area is very difficult to understand. I'll try to break the concept down as basic as possible. Okay. And I want you to follow. Okay. And just understand how it works. Okay. You see that it's not very, very difficult as it is being portrayed. Okay. All right. So treasury and risk management, very, very crucial area. Then we'll come to also another important area, working capital management, right? And that is also 50 marks. So if the ones with the higher weightings or the plenty of important, start from understanding what the elements of working capital is and how to manage each element of what of the working capital framework. Okay, so whether it being your current assets or your current liabilities, we'll delve into how to manage inventory. I think last night there was a question on inventory management, right? How to manage inventory, how to manage receivables, okay, how to manage your cash, and then how to manage your payables. Okay, so these are basically the core components when it comes to working capital management. So you can see it here. Management of inventory, management of account receivables, okay, management of trade payables, and what? Cash management. These are the four core things. Okay, so we are going to run through all of them. And at the end of the day, you need to be able to calculate what we call your cash conversion cycle. It helps you to basically understand how your operations or how long it takes you to be able to receive cash from all your operations, right from procuring your materials to subsequently selling them to your customers and receiving money or cash for it. Okay, so that is the cash conversion cycle. Okay, so basically these are the areas under working capital management. It's one of the very interesting areas of the syllabus. And I'll take my time to go through all of the issues. And so I'll also plead with you to follow me as we go through all of them. Okay, very, very critical. All right. And some you, hey, okay. So we have, you can see the contents, very, very voluminous. Okay, I won't lie. Business valuation, mergers and acquisition. Also a very important area. How many marks? 15 marks. Okay, 15 marks. It has two sides. The valuation side, last night we tested. The question even said, use a number of valuation approaches or techniques, okay, to value a company. Very straightforward question that you were asked, okay? And then we also have the mergers and acquisition side. So it's a two-in-one area. So once we go through the various valuation techniques, then we are saying, okay, if I as a company want to acquire or merge another company, because I need to know the value on that company, it is the reason why I have to know how to place a value on them using the valuation techniques. So In other words, mergers and acquisition relies or takes some form of information when it comes to what the business valuation side, if I should put it that way. Okay, so the two are very related. When it comes to the M&A side, there are theory areas there, and there are also what calculation areas in there. Okay, so the theory areas you can basically see, right? These are the theory areas, and then we have the calculation areas also here. So learning to calculate something like synergy, learning to calculate the cost of an acquisition or merger, learning to calculate the gain of an acquisition or merger, what we call the minimum amount you can pay for a business, and so on and so forth, right? The post-acquisition value of a company, and so on and so forth. We learn how to calculate all of these things. Okay, so business valuation, mergers and acquisition is also another very important area, if I'll put it. One of the earlier things we'll be learning, right? I'll always tell you, will feed into business valuation. So when you get some of the earlier content or concepts you are going to learn, okay, in the first 3 weeks, when you're able to get them very well, an area like business valuation should be very simple for you. And when I'm done, I will tell you to go back to last night, the question that was asked under business valuation, and you're going to see what I'm talking about. Okay, all right. So it is also a very important area that you need to be aware of. Then comes this very new area, which has been included in what? In the FM syllabus. So yes, it's PSC. Okay, it's PSC. So if you are writing PSC now, it's an advantage for you. So basically going through all the approaches that we can use to safeguard public resources. Okay, so key emphasis on expenditure. So the PEFA framework and all its other issues. And then we'll come and look at what another area that requires that we use public funds or we spend public funds, and that is on what? On procurement. Okay. I won't lie to you, the content in there is a lot. Okay, it's a lot. So even for some of them, I even encourage you, I tell you areas that you need to read on. Okay, all right. So procurement, you have so many issues here. Institutions that have been established by law to oversee the work of procurement entities and so on and so forth. That's the PPA, right? Issues like the principles of procurement, the procurement methods, the procedures, right? And then last night, this was the question that was asked under procurement, right? The procedure for disposal of stores and equipment. I hope that is clear. So basically, all of these issues here, the examiner says is going to give you 10 marks if you're able to answer questions in there. Then finally, I believe so, finally, right? The new area I also spoke about, developing technologies in finance. This is for 5 months. So this is the last lecture, okay? And even within an hour, we can be able to finish all the content in here. And it's very practical also, okay? All right, so how does technology affect the work of the financial manager is all we are looking at. Or how technology is affecting the world of finance or the work of financial managers as we may have it now. I hope that is clear. All right. So the use of AI, machine learning, so on and so forth, cryptocurrency or digital currencies, and all those other issues in there. Okay. So for 5 marks. So this is the volume of work that we have ahead of us. I will not lie to you. Please, it is a lot. Maybe this is not your first time writing this paper, right? But I will plead with you that you treat what we are about to do like it is your first time. You may think you understand something, but until you like sit down again and try to painstakingly go through it again, then you understand that, oh, maybe I didn't really understand it like that. So I'll beg all of you, to take this course we are going to do like it is your first time. Okay, like it is your first time. Learn it again, painstakingly. Okay, all right. Now that we've walked through the syllabus, the main syllabus content, the key question we are going to ask ourselves is, where does all that we have said or seen, where does it fall within the exam that we are going to write? Even though I'll do this right now, once we start active lectures or main lectures, I'll be doing that. Okay. So when we are treating a topic, I'll just tell you, okay, what you are seeing now currently is something that you are per the exam format you are going to see in question 1, or you are going to see in question 2, or you are going to see in question 3. I'll be doing that. Okay. So that it keeps you aware of where you can find the syllabus content. All right. So this is from the ICA. And what they are saying is that the environment for financial management and some of the things that we spoke about earlier, the economic environment, the regulatory environment, issues on corporate governance, ethics, and social responsibility and all of that, right? You are going to find it under question 1, and then 5 marks will be allocated to it. And then also for 15 marks, the issue on sources of finance and financing decisions will also what? Be found under question 1, giving you a total of what? 20 marks. So what does it mean? It just means that everything here, right? Everything here, okay, up to this side. Wait, there's some at the down crowd. Up to this side, right? Everything you are seeing here on the first page is going to be tested in question 1 per the exam format. I am saying per the exam format because you see, the examiner, even though he has given you this format, they may change, or he may change the positioning of the syllabus content. They do that a lot. So you may be expecting some type of question in question 1, but you rather see it in, let's say, question 3. Okay. So just be on the lookout for that. All that matters is that you are abreast with the content of the syllabus, and so wherever he may put it, you'll be okay. Okay, and you just be able to answer it. That is all. All right. But by and large, the examiner tries to follow the formats that he has given. So please, you need to just be aware of it. All right. Then in our question 2 basically is on the investment appraisal techniques. Okay, and I told you that it also encapsulates what? The area of time value of money. So when you look through, you're going to see time value of money in there, and all of that is going to be tested for 20 marks. You can check with last day's paper. Let me okay, I have it open here. Let's try to see something. Okay, so let me see. All right. So for last dates, let me see something. This area you are seeing here, this is on the economic environment, this question, right? And when you go into the where is it? This area, right? Impact of the economic environment. It forms part of the 5-mark area, right? So you can clearly see it here. Okay, 5 marks. Funny enough, these areas here, or some of the questions asked here, they could be tested under either time value of money, right? But the examiner brought them here. They could also form part of your cost of finance, right? So 10 marks. Okay, 10 marks. And those 10 marks are coming from this area. Okay, they are coming from this area. I hope that is clear. And then the other 5 marks, which are the advantages of the credit registry system and the credit referencing system, also within the financial market. Okay, so let me see. So it will fall within this area. Okay, it will fall within this area. So basically, they follow the format when it came to last diet. Okay, I said question 2 is on what? It's on investment appraisal, right? So when you walk into question 2, look, they've brought something under WAC. Meanwhile, WAC is an area that you need to or you're expecting to see under question 1. Okay, because under question 1, per the syllabus, that is where we have what? The cost of capital. Okay, so this is something I was talking about. So where is it? Cost of capital. Yes. Calculate WAC. You expect to see this under question 1, but see where it came up. Under what? Under question 2. But since you know the concept of how to calculate WAC, it shouldn't be difficult for you at all. Now, aside that, you come to the main thing. It says calculate what? The NPV. And it was one of the what appraisal techniques that we spoke about. And then what did they say? Differentiate between risk and uncertainty, right? And then the usefulness of what? Sensitivity analysis. So all of these things. Okay. I think I mentioned it, right? So, okay. Right. The things I've marked. Those were the questions. Please, I hope you follow. Nothing came on, what do we call it? Nothing came on time value of money. Nothing came on time value of money. All right. So that's on question 2. Then question 3, 15 marks comes from what? Your treasury and risk management, right? 15 marks. And then where does the other 5 come from? It comes from what? The developing technologies in what? In financial management decision making. All right. So let's go to question 3. What do we see? Here it says use an FRA, which is a way we hedge against our interest rate risk, right? So for 6 marks, we have the calculation part, and for 4 marks, we have what? The theory aspect, making a total of what? 10 marks. Okay, 10 marks. All right. What did the examiner do? Question 3. So instead of 15 for the treasury management side, they only gave 10 marks. And this is something I also want you to understand. They can vary the marks. Okay, they can vary the marks. So you in your mind, you know that, oh, there's a particular area B. The examiner just says he has given 5 marks. 5 marks there is negligible. I can forgo that area. Maybe within your setting, that 5-mark area, you give 10 marks allocation to it. What do you think would have happened to you? Okay, so please, we are not going to leave any stone unturned. And that area that you thought you get more marks from, they will just give you small marks for it. Or the questions there will just be for small marks. It happens. Okay. All right. So that's basically about that. So for the B part, the examiner brought a 10-mark question, but brought questions under what? Procurement. Procurement. Okay. So here they didn't follow the exam format. We were expecting to see something on what? Development technologies. No problem. All right. We will see it somewhere though, so don't worry. Broadly, what do you expect to see in your question 4? Question 4, for 15 marks, you're going to see what? Business valuation and mergers and acquisition. Okay? And then the 5-mark question will be coming from what? The public financial management area. Let's see whether that was what they did. Okay, question 4. When you look at it carefully, yes, the 12-mark area says use the various valuation techniques to value a company. As simple as that. And then the I part says calculate what we call the required rate of return on equity. This area we are going to look at it under what? Cost of equity, right? In your question 1, but it will feed into what? Something in business valuation. So At the end of the day, you have your business valuation area here, 15 marks, like we saw in the syllabus content. Then the 5 mark area, now, where did the format say it to be coming from? It says what? From public financial management side. But what did the examiner ask? The question rather came from what? The treasury management area. But look at it too. At the end of the day, when it comes to the treasury management area, there's a 10-mark question here. Okay, for the main area or the main question where we know that treasury management is going to come from. And there's also what? A 5-mark question was somewhere in question 4. So at the end of the day, so what? 15 marks. So 15 marks. So please, the question can be split any and every way. Just know what is required of you in the exam. All right. Then question 5. Per the syllabus, the format. This is where we have what? Working capital management. So we have what? 5 marks. Sorry, 15 marks. I beg your pardon. And then where would the 5 marks, the other 5 marks be coming from? It will be coming from what? The public financial management side. So at the end of the day, per the exam format, we are expecting a 5-mark area when it comes to public financial management in question 4, right? 5. And then another 5-mark when it comes to what? Our question 5. So in total, how many marks is allocated to the public or the PFM side? 10 marks. Okay, no problem. Let's look at the question 5. Yes, you went into the exam. Per all the questions that were asked, you were told to calculate some cash conversion cycle. Remember, 8 marks. Good. Calculate economic order quantity. This is on inventory management, right? Another 4 marks question here. You add everything together, 15 marks. So the examiner didn't lie. However, when you come to the C side, what question was asked? It was a question on what? The developing technologies in finance, which is what? A 5-mark area. So what I'm drawing attention to is the fact that the examiner didn't follow the format exactly, but all the content you were supposed to see were tested on. Even for the PFM or the public financial management side, they didn't spread it under question 4 and 5. It came under question 3. And it was what? It was a 10-mark question, 10 marks. Solely on procurement, 10 marks. So what am I driving at? Everything you are seeing in the syllabus content is testable. Okay? It's testable. And so you have to try as much as possible to cover everything. Cover everything. Regardless of where it is going to be placed, the examiner is still going to test you on it. So you can clearly see everything was tested. Okay? Even to the mark allocation that he has said, everything was tested to the fullest. So it's very, very important. Okay? Very, very important that we understand this thing. All right. So I have just walked you through the exam format, what you need to expect, okay, in all the 5 questions in the exam, and even how it relates to what? Just the paper that you sat last night. You can take that of November 2025. You are going to see a similar trend. Okay. And you need to arm yourself with this. Okay. Even before you enter into the exam. All right. So that is basically about the syllabus overview. I don't know if you have any questions to ask. Any questions, please? Any questions or contributions? Any questions, please? Okay. All right. Then Benedicta says no question from me. All right. Great. Ernest, do you have any question, please, or contribution? Anything you want done differently, okay, as we begin our main lectures on Saturday? Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So at a very basic level, I believe we have all gone to understand, or come to understand what is ahead of us. Okay, the volume of the contents that we have to cover. I won't lie, it's a lot, but I will try to break them down and make them as simple as possible for you. Okay, all right. So please, two things we've done. We've gone through the syllabus, changes to the current syllabus, some strategies I want you to apply, and we've also done the syllabus overview. Okay, so that is what we have done this evening. I hope that is clear. All right. If there are no questions, we'll end this session here, and we are going to continue with our very first lecture on Saturday at 3 p.m. Okay. All right. So I'll see you in that class. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night as well.